all the information that you talk about today, is that available online? Sort of just refresh our memory.
Yeah, you will get all this information beforehand, just so it'll all be on a kind of role description. Yeah, that'll all be sent to you within the kind of like, I think probably about the week before. So you'll have that for time, and then obviously you'll have the information again as a printout on the day.
And a map?
You'll get a map, yeah. We'll make sure if you've got as much information. If they feel like there's something missing at any time, just shoot us an email. We are getting to the emails, and we do get quite a few. So yeah, we'll get to the email. If there's any questions, we'll try and sort that out for you, because we want to make sure that you all feel comfortable and know what you're doing on the day as well. So yeah, just feel free to reach out. We're available.
So what you can do is, here where we are is the HEHF block, and there's actually multi-level car parking that's just nearby. I think it costs a maximum of about $6 a day from what I've heard.
That's
Otherwise,
what it says like permit on like those areas.
Yeah.
Is that like fine for us?
That's okay for us to park there. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
obviously, if you park the football field, I don't think those will be as available to us on the weekdays.
Okay.
But I think the main one will be the multi-level car parking, which is just behind here, these buildings. Otherwise, there's also, I think, car parking towards the front of the campus around, there's underground parking around building B, just outside near Berwick Road. Or if you do want to park elsewhere, obviously there's street parking, and that's the other side of Berwick Road. So it's just depending on what's convenient for you.
What we'll do is we'll make sure that there's all this information you're going to have beforehand, in terms of obviously the tram number if you're getting public transport, and we'll make sure that we'll tell you all the areas of where you can park, what you need to do if you are going to park. So that will be on an email. There'll be plenty of people on hand during the day as well, different supervisors. So as all Girl Guides, you will all have a supervisor. I can see Jennifer at the back, who's waving, is going to be one of the stream supervisors on the day. So she may be your point of contact depending on what colour flag and stream you're working with. So every stream has a supervisor. So a stream will be the colour, and there'll be approximately like 24 squads in that stream. It will be one guide per squad, so each squad, so you'll probably have about 20 to 30 girls depending on the number. There will be teachers as well, so
it's not just the girls, there will be teachers in it.
Particularly the younger girls as well, their teachers are going to stay. Yourself as a guide, obviously getting them through is obviously, as you pick them up, checking your numbers, how many girls have you got? How many? So, for example, if you're in the first session is the keynote, and you're grabbing the girls at the as they're coming out. If your number of girls does not match the number that you're supposed to have, there will be supervisors and people on hand that will be able to help track down those girls. So what we want you to concentrate on is getting the girls that you do have to the session, and there will be people around. That will be, obviously, if there's a girl that's not with a group, we're going to be there'll be people grabbing them and working out, okay, what squad are you, where do you need to be, we'll get them to you. The same goes as well, for example, in that 30-minute transfer period, if, for example, you've got some girls that need to go to the bathroom, there'll be a couple of people outside in that area, or congregating in the areas that you're going to be able to help get those girls to that, and then you carry on with your group to the next session, and we'll get those girls back to you. But that's something that you don't need to worry about. That's for us to worry about if the girls are missing. So we'll have plenty of people behind the scenes making sure that if there is girls that have, for example, wandered. So it's really just checking them as you pick them up and checking them as you put them in the room, because then you'll know if you've lost some girls.
So each session will go for 45 minutes in length. So each keynote, each workshop, etc. will be a 45-minute block. After that 45 minutes, there's a half an hour period where all those squads will need to change over for their next session. So we'll be looking to all of you as Go-Go Guides on the day to help us take the girls from one session to another within that half an hour window. Yeah, we are definitely looking to try and keep schools together as much as possible.
For us, it's about keeping the flow of traffic. As you can imagine, 1,700 girls. If we start waiting around and congregating, then it's going to create bottlenecks. So what we don't want is lots of groups of people hanging outside the toilets, because that can build pretty quickly if you can imagine how many girls we've got on the day. So the direction from us is that grab somebody, so grab one of the supervisors, make them aware that those girls need to go to the bathroom. You continue taking your girls, and they will organise getting another volunteer to get those girls back to your session. So there'll be volunteers on the day that's going to be part of their role, is to pretty much help assist getting girls back to sessions that have needed to move away from the group for any reason. Because we are aware there is a lot of flu going around, a lot of COVID still going around as well. So behind the scenes, we are planned for that. So we know what our minimum numbers are. That's why I think obviously this is going to be your role for the day, but what I would probably say is if there is times where we need to move people around, it could change. The likelihood is for your role as a girl guide, that won't change. That's the priority role for us. So to make sure that there is one person per squad is probably the highest priority when it comes to the roles that we've got. So it's probably not going to affect you that are here today, because everyone who's come here today will be assigned to the girl guide role. It's probably going to be more that people's roles may change in the other roles, because they're the ones that we can move around. The only thing I would say is potentially during the session, if you are in that volunteer control room and haven't decided to stay with the group, if for example we need to, because I think I mentioned earlier there is a staggered approach to the way that we're running this, it may be that if you're in that room and we need someone to run lanyards from one area to another, or we need to get the girl to a different workshop, we may call on you just to help out and just grab that girl who's gone to the bathroom and get her to the other session during the session. Because it's really, if you're in the session, obviously no, but if you've decided to go into the volunteer control room, that may happen if we are running low on numbers on the day, because it's definitely something that we're well aware of is a high risk for us. It will be your first session, so potentially this moment here is the first time you're going to meet your girls. So if the keynote is the first session you've got, this will be the first time, because we're not going to allocate the girls beforehand. It could change. So yeah, this will be your first touch point with the girls. You'll see them coming out of there, having a great talk to the ANZ, really happy, really excited, and you'll be waving your flag. Like any of the keynote workshops, super workshops, there will be the speaker buddies that are on hand and are attached to those speakers. They'll be making sure that they keep on time to get those girls out of the area on time. There's a 30-minute window, which should be enough time for you to identify. Everyone should have come out by that point. Identify, have I got anyone missing? Get in touch with someone and get to the next session, because most of the areas aren't within a particularly long walking distance, so you should have enough time.
There's an assembly point to the trade show, so there'll be an assembly point where you'll just have to grab them, get to the assembly point and essentially loiter while we let the next group in, and then that round of girls will walk out separate doors, so we'll have a separate entrance and exit door.
But there will be like a speaker, yeah, we will be kind of putting an announcement out, hey, 5 minutes to go, please get to the assembly point. There's a 30-minute window of transfer to get them to those areas, but that obviously you're probably looking at least 10 minutes to kind of just make sure you've got all your girls, and then there's the 20 minutes to get to we will have approximate timings that we'll know how long it will take to get to those certain rooms, but as you saw earlier, probably the lecture theatre that we went to is probably going to be the furthest away, and that's probably approximately like a 5-10 minute walk. So yeah, they should all be within close enough proximity that the 30-minute window should get you there on time. Obviously, as your role is to get the girls there on time, if, for example, you're getting close to that time and you know that you haven't got enough girls, that's when you need to make someone, your supervisor, aware, and they'll sort that out for you while you can get the girls that you do have to their session. You'll be advised who your supervisor is. There'll also be that'll be in your information pack. Also in the volunteers room, there will be a bit of an org chart on one of the projectors on the screen, so that will be up there as well. Yeah, and it'll also be on the email information that you do receive in advance. So yeah, you will know who your supervisor is. We'll also have a picture of them as well, so you know what they look like. But you'll also be able to identify them because they won't be. Because obviously you'll be wearing all black, they will have their own identifier which will make you aware. That will either be, as I said, a cap, a yellow t-shirt, or it will be like a sash. So you can see quite clearly from the crowd of people where they are. Everybody who's in the Girl Guide role should be just in this Girl Guide role for the day. So you won't need to go and do the bus liaison role. The only time that you may need to do something is if, for example, you've just decided to go back to the control room during the session and we just need someone to potentially run something, or, you know, if there's a lanyard, if some girls haven't got a lanyard, maybe we might need to just ask you to grab them and take them to that bus location point registration. But that's probably unlikely. That's more backup when, if, for example, volunteer numbers on the day do drop because of COVID and flu, that we need to have those parameters in place. But essentially you'll all be having the Girl Guide role. It's a super workshop, same thing again with the flags, except for, as we did on the tour, you'll be upstairs. So the same thing as what you're doing down here. You'll just come straight out the volunteer control room, straight to that area there, and that's where you're going to pick up your girls. As Jess mentioned in the lecture theatre, they are going to be running the third, so you will actually be with a couple of other volunteers as well. So you won't be taking them just your squad, you'll be with a couple of other volunteers, and there'll be a few of you going to that lecture theatre together. What will happen is that when the girls come through that entrance point, we will know from their colour lanyard, the volunteer on that door. If, for example, the first session for the pink stream is super workshop, we're going to point them to go straight upstairs. That's where you're going to be standing to pick up those girls. Once you have your girls, similar to at the workshop, you'll walk back down the stairs, out the building to the lecture area. If there will be also your supervisor upstairs with you, that if, for example, you don't have the amount of girls and by the time you need to leave to get them there on time, then notify them, they'll sort that out. That will be their responsibility. You just get your girls to where they need to be. So the girls actually will be across the campus, is my Jess?
They could be sitting around here. If it's nice weather, they could be out with gardens around the place as well. So it really is dependent on where the girls and then the teacher for those girls will want to go. For the volunteers, lunch will be served in the control room upstairs. For the girls, we've asked the girls to bring their lunch with them.
Oh, they bring their own lunch.
Yeah.
Yeah. And obviously there's food and beverage options in this cafe.
Yeah. Jess mentioned earlier as well, there will be teachers with these groups as well. So yeah, they will be with the girls. So it's not like you're going to have full responsibility for a group of 25 girls. There's going to be teachers on hand and they will be with those groups as well. There is some strict school rules around food. So obviously we're providing you all with food on the day. But if you do decide to bring your own snacks, probably nuts is probably what I'd say please don't bring. Yeah, because there is usually strict school policies around. But we'll have any information about that list if there is anything that we don't want you to, we ask you not to bring because of the rules. We are asking all volunteers if you can arrive before 8 o'clock for an arrival check-in, and the reason being is it gives us ample time to work out who isn't here, because that means that we need to put into place backup plans. So if you could arrive for 8 o'clock, just for if there is any issues with timing, please come and grab me or drop an email to the volunteers box. Inbox, because we will try and accommodate, but if you're in a Girl Guide role, ideally to have you there, all volunteers registered before 8 o'clock. That gives us enough time to be able to move people around into different roles. If, for example, say for example you're unwell, have COVID, then we need to make sure that we've got another volunteer stepping into that seat.
So the current government's recommendation regarding mask is optional, so it depends on whether you're more comfortable to wear a mask or not. We will definitely have masks and hand sanitizer and wipes available if you want to use those, but we're not mandating them currently unless you do. So obviously some schools may come already with their masks on, but it is up to each individual person or school how comfortable you are with or without a mask.
But we will have masks here if, for example, you wanted a mask but forgot your mask.
You're allowed to take photos on behalf of GoGo. We do ask that you share everything when you take the photo, but unfortunately we're not allowed for you to post it directly on your own socials.
And that one squad you have, so that won't change for the day, that will be your girls for the day, so yeah, that's up to you. You probably know if you want to stay or, you know, if you need to nip out. Maybe, I know everyone's got day jobs as well, like if you need to nip out and make a quick, that's the time when you need to make a quick phone call. Obviously just making sure that you're always getting them there on time and picking them up to take them to their session. So you will be making sure that if you're back in that volunteer room that obviously if you're still there and it's 10 minutes before the end, we're going to be saying, hey, you probably want to head to go pick up the girls now. So it's just more so it gives you that flexibility that if you did want to just get a break, grab a coffee, you can do that there as well. Or if you the workshops will be some pretty interesting workshops, so hey, I'd probably recommend staying around and watching some of them because yeah, there will be some pretty cool ones.
That's sort of at the end. So on the lanyard for the girls, we're going to have very similar to this one that you're seeing here, but at the top right corner will be a little white square which will indicate a spot number. So that spot number is unique to them, and there's only one of that spot at any time. So you'll be able to identify at the top right which squad they're in. At the bottom left, for the girls and the teacher, is a little QR code that we're going to ask them to let us know what they think of the day after a few questions and that. And so we do encourage you, if you're in the last session with them and they're just about to head out, let them know that they can provide us feedback and contribute in our post-event survey. We're just going to have a little QR code at the bottom right.
So there is toilets down here on the inside of this room on the right hand side. I believe there's some other toilets dotted around as well. Yeah.
There's some in the trade show, there's some upstairs corner, there's some here that's the workshop that we went into, that's more electrical we went into, so that'll definitely be dotted around.
You'll have a map as well, and what we'll do is we'll just note down all the toilet areas as well that you've got on the day options, depending on which building you're in. There will be people available on the day because we're taking that information from everyone. Is who do we know is first aid trained. So yeah, there will be.
If a scenario comes up that you do need to contact the first aider for some reason, we ask for you to contact your supervisor in the first instance. They will be able to radio.
So every volunteer needs to go to that volunteer room that we went to this morning. That's your first point of call. That's how we register you in, and that's where we get all your information. You'll have it on hand, in your hand on the day. You'll have all that information. Pick up your squad flag. So you need to be able to do that. There probably will be a QR code as well with just a check-in from a vaccination point, just because that is a requirement as well.
The sponsors will check in the speakers lounge, so that will be cited on the speakers lounge, and the volunteers will be cited on the front.
Yeah, and I think as well when you all came today, obviously I was checking to make sure that you've applied for your already applied for your working with children check. I don't think there was anyone here today, which is great, that hasn't got a working with children's check. So yay. So yeah, if you do have colleagues that haven't been able to attend today and they are coming and volunteering with you and they haven't applied for their working with children's check, please give them a nudge, because unfortunately anyone who turns up on the day as a volunteer has not applied for it. It doesn't need to necessarily have come back, it just needs to have been applied for. Unfortunately, we are going to have to turn them away because it is a requirement for us that everyone has applied for that working with children's check, because you are coming into contact with the girls.
The primary school girls and those who are in their early years are more likely to have teachers with them. What teachers will try to do is not parents having younger year levels and the older ones. So anyone who's got the black or the white strip of protection, I think it's the pink. Pink is the 7 8.
Pink and so yeah, black and white will be years 5 to 6, and then pink is years 7 to 8, and yellow is years 9 to 12.
Some, they'll come with the schools. So some schools will bring multiple teachers along. So we're anticipating the
Always need more volunteers. I think this year, just with the fact that, as we've mentioned a few times, I hate saying the COVID word, but yeah, there is obviously a few different factors that we're dealing with this year that, what I would say is anyone who, if you do know anyone who would still want to volunteer, we would need to, officially our volunteer registration did close on Friday, but I would, please, if you can find out that information, I'd say by like Monday, Tuesday latest, just because we are running this session again next Saturday, and we also are running a virtual for anyone who can't attend on these sessions. I do always recommend coming in person because it is a bit of a different experience to what you might see virtually. I think it's really good to actually see the venue, and as some of you might have noticed this morning, you know, that first time coming here is actually knowing where, that next time you come on the day, you know where you're coming. That's the reason why, is that because of like, we do want to make sure everyone's had this induction before coming on the day, because if people turn up on the day and they don't know, it's going to be quite daunting for them. So this is why we're running these sessions. So that would be the only thing, is that if they could attend, know that they could attend one of those sessions and get the information across to us straight away. I'd probably do it on email rather than on the registration form, and then we can sort that out.
Things about this event is that it's important, and the importance is about what we're doing to inspire the girls and see more women into the workforce and following their dream. And it's opening their eyes for their dream. And while today may seem a little daunting, Vic ICT has done this for many, many years. I think 2006 was our first one. And so we've never had COVID before, and we've never had, and we've got the flu as well. But what I would say to you is that just remember that today, while you might be thinking of all the things, you are the inspiration. So those girls are really inspired by what you're doing. And the inspiration is around that our youth, as role models, they need role models. And the Go Girl team are a role model, but don't forget the importance you've got, because you're actually making a connection that those girls will never, ever forget.
Thanks, Chris.